Biggest small critter? Okay.
Hi, my name is Brian Hurst, and this is my informative speech for COM 101. One night, as I was driving to watch one of my kids play a game that I have loved for over 40 years, I couldn't help but thinking about the history of the sport that I was about to watch, a sport that millions of Americans spend millions of hours watching either on television or in person. Americans spend billions of dollars a year on this sport, and is a vital part of the U.S. economy. Myself, I have seen over 100 ball games this season alone, most of them in person. In January and February alone, it was not uncommon for me to spend 5 nights a week in a gymnasium only to hurry home to catch one or two more of these games on TV. A lot of people would call this obsessed or addicted. What sport am I talking about? Basketball, the great American pastime in the winter. Now let's go back to 1891, Springfield, Massachusetts. Luther Gulick, chairman of the physical education department at Springfield College, instructed physical education teacher James Naismith to invent a game for the student athletes to be able to play in the wintertime. Naismith used a simple soccer ball and assembled the student athletes of 18 men. He appointed 2 captains. They chose 9 players per team to play this game, basketball. Then 2 words. Naismith, who outlined the 13 original rules for this game, dispatched the school janitor to come up with 2 wooden crates to be used as baskets to be attached to the balcony rails on each end of the gymnasium. The janitor could only find 2 half-bushel peach baskets. The game was played with these. The soccer ball and peach baskets soon gave way to specialized equipment. For example, in the early days, the peach baskets were closed at the bottom, and someone had to climb the ladder to retrieve the ball after a basket was made. The peach baskets were later replaced with metal rims and nets hanging below these metal rims. In 1906, people began to open up the bottom of the nets in order for the ball to start falling through. The first basketball was made of panels of leather stitched together with a rubber bladder inside. The molded basketball was introduced in 1942, which was a significant advancement in the sport. The molded ball, a factory-made ball, had a consistent size and shape, offered better reaction and durability, making play more consistent and development of individual skills better. In 1891, Naismith joined the faculty at the University of Kansas as a physical education teacher. It was here that Naismith set up the original 13 rules. The rule of the game has changed dramatically over the past 100 years. One of the original rules was the ball could be batted in either direction by one or both hands, but could not be dribbled because a player could not move with the ball. Beginning in 1910, a player could dribble the ball, but could not shoot after he stopped dribbling. It wasn't until 1906, after a heated debate, that players were allowed to shoot the ball after dribbling. In 1920, the jump ball rule was added. It was not only to start the game, but also was used after every made basket. Throughout basketball history, no part of the game has been changed and monitored than the act of fouling. In basketball's early days, a player's second foul would mean removal from the game. until the next field goal was made. If the team committed 3 consecutive fouls, an extra goal was awarded to the opponent. Beginning in 1894, players who were given free throws after the foul. Beginning in 1908, players who committed 5 fouls were disqualified from the game. As popularity grew, so did the sport. The first national collegiate basketball tournament was held in Kansas City in 1937. The first true national tournament was the NIT in New York City after the 1938 season. In 1939, a group of coaches from the National Association of Basketball Coaches, fearing East Coast bias, organized and sponsored the first NCAA national tournament. The NCAA took sole control of the organization of its tournament after the first year. For the next decade, the NCAA and the NIT tournaments competed to become the universally recognized national championship tournament, and the NCAA eventually winning out. The NCAA tournament's original format, used for the first 12 years, divided the country into 8 regions, and each regional selection committee sent 1 team per region to the 8-team tournament. As the tournament gained importance, the field gradually enlarged to the present day of 64, making up of champions of a number of conferences in addition to other successful teams. Now, as you sit down and fill out your March Madness, your brackets for March Madness for your office pool, you may not be a fan of basketball, but maybe it is important. Maybe this information will help you better understand the game of basketball came from and how it has changed over the years and developed into a game that millions of people around the world have come to love. For so many people, it's not just a game, it's a way of life. That's basketball. Now, one word.